Hello, friends. Happy 2025. This is Blade and Broom. I'm laureleiblack. I don't know what I'm doing in terms of format for today because I am just winging it, and that's okay. Thank you for joining me here at the beginning of 2025. So this topic for today is going to be about resolutions and goals, and specifically I'm going to kind of dig into what my own resolutions and goals are for 2025. I'm going to talk a little bit about why I engage in resolution and goal setting at the beginning of the year and all that kind of stuff. So let's just jump in. So I consider goal setting and resolutions and kind of the process of doing all of that an act of magic. It's been one of those ritual sorts of components in my life since I was a little kid, honestly. Like I remember setting intentions for the first time, or resolutions for the first time it was either for January 1st of 1984 or 1985. Because I know about how old I was, but I don't remember the specifics of like what year it was. But it was one of those. So I was either 8 or 9 when the first time that I did that. So, and I remember at the time, like not really even knowing what goals really even meant. Like I didn't really have goals, and it seemed like all of the big goals that I saw around me were things that were very like, make this much money, or, which I was a child. I wasn't making money at the time. I did not have a job. And things like lose weight, or all that kind of stuff. It was very, very physical world stuff, which is, I think, useful and good. I'm not knocking it, but I didn't really know what I was doing necessarily at that age, at that time. But now I do, and I understand a lot more about the importance of setting intentions. And goals and resolutions can both be thought of as sort of variations on intentions. And we know, because we're magical practitioners, magical people, we understand that setting that intention is going to drive the magic that you're doing. And I personally am very invested in the idea of living a magical life. Like not just that I do a ritual or a spell, but that magic is infused into my everyday living and breathing. That there's things that you could parse out as being spell work or being ritualized or being acts of magic, but that really it's just so much a part of what I do and who I am that I'm not necessarily thinking of it as this separate act of magic. I think that there's a blend and a balance for both of those that needs to be struck. So the idea of like, I do think it's important to have times that I am intentionally going in and doing a big ritual production act of magic, but I also personally really resonate with and have had a lot of personal success with just blending magic into my everyday world. It's just something that I live and do and breathe, right? If that makes sense. So with that in mind, the new year presents us with this opportunity to look back and close up the last year and to look forward into the new year. You probably already know that the month of January is named for the Roman god Janus. I'm not exactly sure how the name would have been pronounced in Latin, but Janus. And he is a god of thresholds, right? So he has two faces on his head, one that looks back and one that looks forward. So in January, we're looking back at the previous year and looking ahead to the new year. And I've always really kind of just worked with the philosophy of, let me just touch that. Begin how you wish to continue. So however we start 2025 is how is the tone that we're setting for all of 2025. And so to that end, I've been intentionally doing things all throughout today, including making this video. as representative acts of what I want to be doing and thinking and feeling and experiencing and accomplishing all through this year. So it's kind of tied into ideas of like the first footing and that kind of thing. Like there's a long history of January 1st being a very intentionally magical day for a lot of people, whether they have a magical worldview like ours or not. So one of my own resolutions this year is about showing up more and being present, and specifically showing up in a couple of different realms. One is here on YouTube, because I've mentioned it before. I know that I've been kind of inconsistent about this channel and its growth, and just sort of the community that's building around the channel and around things like the Red Thread Academy and all of that. So I want to be very intentional and showing up. I want to be here with you. It is important to me to do that. It's been a struggle in the past year or so. My business has really taken off, which is, can't really call it separate from my magic, but it is not on the surface attached to my magic in any way, right? So I am the founder and now executive director of a disability services agency. And my business has grown considerably in the last year. So it's been kind of a wild ride, but it's been great. It just kept me really busy. And so we're getting to a place where I think the business is going to continue growing, but I've got other people that are now involved in the business that are also helping to push that growth and to sustain that growth, which means that I'm able to reclaim some time for myself and for the things that sustain and nourish me, which is very much needed. And the other place that I'm really wanting to show up is at Midian, which I've mentioned before. I'll put a link down in the goodie box, like whatever we're calling the description box or that kind of thing for the video. I'll put links down there so you guys can find out more about Midian. It is a space that I co-own with several members of my community here regionally. So it's based in Southern Indiana. It's a festival and event space. We host all kinds of alternative events out there. And so, but I've taken a little bit of time, sort of not really away from, but I've stepped back from a leadership role there. And I'm wanting to step back in a little bit more and be more involved again. So that, and part of the resolution for me then is showing up even when I'm not feeling prepared, even when I'm not made up and haven't fixed my hair and I'm just wearing a hoodie. That I have told myself in the past that, oh, I can't go film that video right now because I don't have it all scripted, or I can't film that video right now because like it's going to be this huge process. I've got to, get my hair looking decent. I've got to put on makeup. I've got to pick my outfit and all that kind of stuff. And I think that preparation is important and that those are good things. There's nothing to knock about that, but it is a problem if it's keeping me from actually doing the things that I want to do. And that sometimes it's going to be a quick video that I make on a topic because I just want to talk with you about it. I just want to bring it up and kind of hash through it. And I might not have had the chance to fully prepare an outline or prepare a whole script. If you're okay with it, I'm okay with it, right? So I know some of the viewers that have been with the channel for a long time, you can look back at older videos, like the ones that I released in 2020. I think every single one of them, I was just working with an outline, and you can see the ramble happening because I have ADHD. And I'm touching it again. So, yeah, so there are things that I edit out of the videos. You guys don't see when my brain just goes blank because, again, with the ADHD and the autism, like sometimes my brain is shooting off into like 15 different directions and I've mentally followed one thread down, but it doesn't match the thing that I was just saying. I do verbally. I can walk into a room and get lost, like forget why I was there. I do that verbally a lot. And it has shaped how I've interacted here on YouTube. Because I've wanted to come across as more polished and put together than that. And I think that can happen too. So you see that progression. I get into other videos like the ones that have all been from the last couple of years. They usually are very scripted. I've got a teleprompter. I'm pointing at my camera as if it's there. It's not there right now, which is why I'm rambling. And I get excited, so then I talk a mile a minute, and I get past what I was talking about. I'm gonna look at my outline because I do have an outline. What was I gonna do? Oh yeah, okay. So I've already covered that. Yes, even when I'm not fully prepared, even when my hair and makeup's not done, even if it's not the most polished content that I would love to provide, I think in some ways the idea of just showing up to teach, because that's what I'm here to do, showing up to teach and to connect with other people is more important than having a super professional looking video. This channel is small. I know that it will never be. I don't anticipate that it will ever be, 1 million subscribers or something like that. It's just not going to happen. That's not the way our market works, right? Witchy content is nichier than that. Witchy is niche. It's a smaller subgroup of the population. And then within that, I'm not even talking about the most common and popular types of witchcraft, right? Like traditional witchcraft, I think is cool. Obviously, I'm way into it, but it's not the type of witchcraft that is pushing book sales and that's pushing that kind of content. It's we're just a smaller niche, and that's okay. So hopefully y'all can live with me through the ramble. Feel free to skip ahead a few seconds to see if I got back on track. I'm doing that right now. So sharing my goals and resolutions here in this space and right now at this time, I'm doing it for a few different reasons. One is that it gives me some accountability. I plan on doing a recap in December to see how I did with these things. Might even do it as a watch along and response video where I'm responding to myself. So hi, future Lorelei. Hope 2025 was as great as we're envisioning. And then also I consider it sort of modeling of a magical practice that can seem mundane, right? So the setting of resolutions, the setting of goals at the beginning of the year, because it's so pervasive in pop culture, it can seem very, very mundane and not like it's a magical act at all. But I think it's actually part of that fabulous witchy lifestyle. So yeah, this is me modeling a mundane magical act. I also think I should share just briefly, super briefly, about some philosophies and definitions that I carry when I'm talking about resolutions and goals, and the idea of success or failure in terms of those goals. A goal for me is something that I plan to achieve. It is a target that I intend to reach, right? So it's usually very concrete and measurable. It might not always be time bound, but in the sense of 2025 goals, it would be time bound in the sense that I'm trying to accomplish these things before December 31st of 2025. Resolutions, on the other hand, I personally view those as a behavior or a mindset that I am resolving to adopt. It is something that I am wanting to sort of shift within myself. And again, that has come out for me more as a mindset or a behavior or an approach. And both of these things, for both goals and resolutions, I don't really see falling short of the goal as failing at it. Some people would argue with me. I have a good friend who is pushing for normalizing the idea of failure, that we all fail at things, and it's not a source of shame. It shouldn't be a source of shame that we just didn't accomplish the thing that we wanted to accomplish. And so my not using the term failure for not meeting my goals is not really me trying to sort of bypass the experience of having failed at something, because I definitely know that I am capable of failing. I have failed at many, many things in my life. But I see it in terms of goals. If you're working toward the goal and you don't quite reach it, maybe you don't reach it by a lot, but if you did literally anything toward the goal, you've moved in a positive direction. And so my intention is always to fail forward, if that makes sense, to fail in the direction of that end goal or that target, or to fail in the direction of leading a life that is kinder and more compassionate, that is full and rich. Like, if I've done anything to try to be more of the things that I want to be and do more of the things that I want to do in the world, then I haven't really failed. I might not have succeeded in the way that I intended, but I succeeded in something. I exceeded in some kind of positive way. So I think of it more as failing forward or failing successfully, because I'm still accomplishing things. I'm still getting stuff done, and still improving my life and the lives of people around me, which is important to me. That's part of what I want to do. So let's start with my 2025 resolutions. And I invite you to join me in the comments below and share your resolutions or your goals. What are you trying to achieve for this year? Maybe we can use that as an accountability piece for all of us. And I'll look back at the end of the year and see what folks had said in the comments that they were trying to achieve. And you can let me know if you did or didn't. So my resolutions for 2025 are all more about quality of life and quality of experience for myself. I've already mentioned one of them, which is showing up more. That's on YouTube, at Midian, and really just at like other IRL events. I want to be present with people. Not all the time. Not all the time. I am an extroverted introvert or an introverted extrovert. I'm right on that borderline. So sometimes I get really jazzed up, draw lots of energy from interacting with other people, and sometimes it's really draining. And it just sort of depends maybe on what else is going on in my life. But I'm always kind of right on the border. So, and I also have ADHD, autism, and anxiety, which means that when it comes the time to go and do the thing with people, I don't want to. Almost always. I don't want to. And it's not that I don't love that person. It's not that I don't want to do the thing. It's that it's suddenly like really tiring and exhausting. And some of that is other bits of my life being tiring. And so, yeah, I've tended to hermit more, especially since 2020. I hermited very well in 2020. And but I know I need to be around people more, and I've done a little bit more here in the last year. So that's one that I'm already having positive progress on. I also want to, so another resolution for me, and I only have 4 resolutions. These are more of those mindset things, so they involve bigger aspects of my life. But another one is that I want to bring more dance and movement back into my body. I used to dance. I used to teach dance. I had a fall in 2008, Valentine's Day of 2008. I fell down some icy stairs and hurt my lower back pretty badly. And I've danced since then, but not consistently. And so I want to bring more dance, more movement into my life again, and into my body again. My body needs it. My job has become more sedentary since I'm acting more in that executive director role. I'm not out in the field as much as I used to be. And that's the other thing, is that my job used to be more active physically for me. And now I do a lot of work in front of the computer, which I don't hate, but my body is not appreciating it. And I turned 50 this year, later in the year. And I see the toll that not being active has taken on on 2 of my parents, 3 of my parents. Not being active has really done some damage for my loved ones that are in their 70s now. And 50 just doesn't feel that far from 70, the way that 30 felt from 50, for instance. So I know that I need to take steps now so that I can still be an active and healthy person who's enjoying their life in 20 years. Because I want to do that. So another one of my resolutions is not to borrow other people's problems or anxieties. I'm calling it compassionate non-attachment. So for me, this is going to be continuing to stay off social media. I left social media last year. I want to say it was just after the Water Priestess Confluence last year, which happened the first weekend of April. So I think April was when I just left social media. And yeah, I'm sticking by that. It's been a really good change. I think more people ought to be doing that for their own well-being, for their own health, for their own mental health and physical health. So social media was definitely a place where I was inundated with other people's anxieties and fears and worries and dramas and conflicts. And it's really easy to get very invested in other people's stuff, especially as somebody who's naturally drawn to social services, human services. The work that I do is all about helping people, and my work is about being involved in other people's troubles, which really means that it's even more important for me to draw a line in my personal life so that I am not getting embroiled in relationship issues or financial struggles or just interpersonal conflicts with people in my community. And that seems really obvious to say. I feel like it just seems like good practice. None of us should be getting involved in other people's stuff. But it's really hard. We live connected lives to other people. But I had a lot of struggle with it this last year. I had some friends that were really going through some stuff. And it impacted my mental health more than is probably proportionate, even as a friend, even as a good friend. I spent more time thinking and talking about with my spouse these other issues, and sort of that idea of being present and showing up more, sort of showing up and being present in my own life more and loving and giving grace and compassion to people when they're going through stuff, but not taking it on as mine. And so my last resolution that I wanted to mention is spending more time doing activities that I love, like actually doing the things that give me joy, and not doing it in ways that are attached to compensation. I made the mistake 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I'm not exactly sure when. I made the mistake a long time ago when I was feeling more financial pressure to monetize a lot of my passions, a lot of the things that I loved. So I didn't just study dance and take dance classes. I then taught dance and performed for payment and that kind of thing, which is great. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that it came to the point where if I wasn't, it felt like I needed to get paid for it, if that makes sense. So it became so tied up with the idea of money that almost everything that I did, because I did it with my Etsy shop. If you go and look at Blade and Broom on Etsy, because we started Blade and Broom as a concept, started as an Etsy shop in 2008, 2009. And if you look back, I didn't list products in it until 2011, but when you look back at those first sales that I made, if you go way back into the history of the shop, you can see that a lot of it is handcrafted stuff. Because I like crafting. I'm a crafty person, and it was a lot of handcrafted supplies and gear and tools and robes and cloaks and all this kind of stuff. And honestly, I haven't wanted to sew in years now because I did it so long and so intensely at sort of a customer's order. and it burnt me out on it. Like, I don't want to sew right now. So that's not on my list of things that I do want to do, but I want to get back to a place where I do want to make clothes. I enjoy doing that. I enjoy sewing. I enjoy crafting. Gardening, I found that I quite like. I don't have a lot of experience with it. I feel like a total noob, and like I'm probably killing plants, which is upsetting. But I like getting my hands dirty, and I like watching the things grow. I like going out and talking to my plants, or being inside and talking to the plants. I talk to everything. So, and plants actually feel like they're listening. I like that interaction. I love hiking, and I don't do enough of it. And I live really close to one of Indiana's best state parks, as far as I'm concerned. So I'm just on the other side of the Ohio River from Indiana. And I'm not at the park nearly as often as I should be. And there needs to be more of that in my life. I want to get back into doing embroidery and making jewelry. I've given away a good portion of my jewelry making supplies because I had so much and I wasn't really working with those materials. And when we moved into the tiny house, I needed to get rid of them. So I gave most of them to a friend, but I kept a few things, and there's pieces that I want to make that I just haven't sat down and done. So I want to do more of that. I want to make more art. That's something that my daughter is an art major in college. She's a very talented ceramicist, and she's discovering a real talent for painting. And it's so inspiring. Art has been a big part of my life and has been part of my sort of family culture, as it were. Both of my parents are musicians. My biological parents are both musicians, and my dad and stepmom are both very talented visual artists as well. And so I love that my kids both make music, make art, and I want to make more art. It's been a while since I've had that be a big part of my life, and I would like to get back to that. Dancing I already mentioned, and I've been doing more reading since I left social media. It has really freed up a lot of time for things like actually reading books. I am listening to some on audiobook now while I'm crafting, reading more is definitely one of the goals, one of the resolutions. And then just like witchy crafting things. And that's one where I'm going to blur the lines sometimes. So I said I don't want to be doing things that are attached to compensation entirely, but YouTube's not really attached to compensation very directly for me. If we can say that there's money that's coming to me from YouTube, it is in a very indirect route. You know, folks that find the channel discover that I'm a writer and that I have books that they might be interested in. That's sort of where that is in terms of financial, but like my channel's not monetized, and I don't know if I care about it being monetized. I don't know. Like I said, I don't really anticipate. It's not common within the witchy community to have these big blow up channels that have, you know, hundreds of thousands or 1 million subscribers. The people that do have channels like that are crossing genres in ways that I'm not likely to, because I can't get out of my own way. Like the things that that I like are just not that profitable and marketable. And I am so not in it for that. Like I don't care that I may never make money on my books, because it's more important to me to get the information out there. So the point that I was making there was that I'll probably go ahead and film some of my witchy crafting and turn those into videos. But again, I'm going to try to do it in this like authentic, just showing up and doing it. I'll probably look a hot mess while I'm crafting because I don't dress for that. I don't dress up for that. You know, it's going to be all over the place. Yeah. Wow. Y'all are really getting to see the ADHD today. Okay. So goals. I'm going to be faster on sharing the goals. These are the actual feats that I would like to accomplish before December 31st, 2025. So, hold on. I'm doing all kinds of weird things on my iPad screen. I've managed to tilt the the angle of the page. What have I done? Okay. I don't even know how I did that. Can I fix it? Oh, maybe. Sort of. Aha. Okay. This is why I normally edit everything. Okay, so I've got a goal for what I would like for my business that I have mentioned before, the agency that I run. Sorry, I keep hitting that with my hand. Then I get distracted because it's pretty. I have a goal for a gross revenue for that business, but I'm not going to share that necessarily. But I'm just noting that I've got it. And then trigger warning. If you've got body image issues, body dysmorphia, issues around weight, you may want to skip ahead to where I'll try to put in a counter for when I'm not talking about this next one. But I do have a goal of actually losing a certain amount of weight. I gained a lot. I ate a lot. I ate all of my feelings starting in 2021 and struggled to get back on track. And so I've had a lot of health setbacks and complications that have happened from that. So it's really important to me to continue losing the weight. I've lost about half of what I want to ultimately lose. So in 2025, my goal is to lose the other half of that weight. And for me, it's less about numbers and more about how my body feels. But I do have a number that's associated with it because I think that number is probably where my body is going to feel good. But that will be a major accomplishment for me. And it is something that is definitely on my radar as a big goal. Because yeah, I have things like high blood pressure and some of my joints are much less happy with me than they were when I was more fit. So it's time to get more fit again. Speaking of fit, one of my goals is to achieve my belly fit instructor certification. So I started that journey, 2016, 2015, 2014, 2013. I don't know. Let me just say all of the years in the 20 teens. Sometime around 2013 or 2014. I don't remember which one it was, but I signed up for belly fit instructor's certification, that training to be a belly fit instructor. And I'll put a link to that too. It is a fitness system that combines different genres of world dance with things like yoga and Pilates. There's an aerobics component to it. It's very dancey. And that's the main thing that I love about it, is that it's very dancey, but that it's getting your heart rate up and it's structured. There's lots of great choreographies. There's lots of great music. And I want to finally wrap up that training and actually become a belly fit instructor. Whether I open classes in my area or not, I want to have the certification so that I can, and I want that sort of feather in my cap of like, I did this, because it's a goal that I set for myself at least a decade ago. And I haven't gotten there yet, but I haven't given up on it either. So I would like to hit that next milestone. I've got, okay, so I'm not going to say all of the titles, but there's a book that I've written a proposal for, that I've submitted the proposal to one of the major publishers of pagan literature. And I'm hoping, I haven't heard back from them yet, so keep your fingers crossed, but I'm hoping that one gets picked up and that I'm able to get it finished. At least finished on my side before the end of 2025. And if it doesn't get picked up, I may try the other publisher, or I may just publish it through Asteria Books, because that's what I've done for the last 16, 17 years, is I've just been self-publishing everything because I know that I write for niche audiences. But I've got and then there's another book that I'm about to write a proposal for, same kind of scenario. I at least want my side, I want the first draft done. by the end of this year. So that's 2 books. There's 3 books that I'm working on, and these I will go ahead and say the titles for. One is a festival planning guide, one is the Women's Goddess Retreat Facilitator Handbook, and the other is Darksome Night and Shining Moon, which is the second title in my fiction series, the Witch's Rune series, which I write under the pen name Delilah Temple. So all of those, the first drafts are done, and I need to get them edited and ready for market. So I want to get those done and out this year. I have a big project that I'm working on around pagan homeschooling, pagan home education. I was a homeschooling parent for several years with my oldest child, and I am coming from a background of teaching. Some of you guys will know that. You'll remember that I used to be a high school English and theater teacher, speech teacher. So I have for years had lots of thoughts about how I might be able to use that training and passion to help our pagan homeschool community. And with some of the changes that I think are coming in education, probably starting this year from the federal level and on out, I would just really feel more comfortable if our pagan community had enough resources to make homeschooling a viable option for more families. I also have goals around, let's see, I've been working for years, again, on a grimoire project. Some of you will be familiar with those pages already. If you're in the Red Thread Academy, then each of the course books has a section that's just Book of Shadows pages or grimoire pages. When I'm done, I'm probably going to have, I don't know, it's over 1,200. It might be 1,300 pages. I've written a lot. I've written a lot of them already, but I have just another final push to get it all done and wrapped up. And I would really like to get that project done this year so that it can just be finished and accomplished, and I can hold on to the finished work and be like, here it is, it's done. I also have the Asteria Mystery School, which has, it is an online learning system, just short little modules about different aspects of magic, ritual, and pagan thought. So I'd like to get 5 of those put out this year. 5 of the coloring books and activity books that I started working on last year. 5 sets of curriculum plans along the lines of the pagan homeschooling stuff, and 52 videos on YouTube. I want to do 1 a week, at least on average. So maybe there'll be a couple weeks where I do, I don't know, what was I saying? Where I do 2 in the week, and it will hopefully not be as discombobulated as this one is. So those are my goals. It's a lot. Realistically, I listed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 things that could all be considered books, and then 15 things that are short books, I guess. Like, they're still kind of book length, but they're booklet. We'll call them booklets. So 7 books and 15 booklets. That's probably more than I can do, being realistic. But to heck if I'm not going to give it a try. So we'll see how I did. Thanks for hanging out with me. This has been a ridiculously long video for me to just sort of sit and ramble at you. If you like this kind of thing, I'm probably going to be doing a little bit more of it, but it will not be the bread and butter of the channel. How about that? We'll go with more scripted and planned and prepared. I just wanted to get something out today. So thanks for hanging out with me, and I look forward to hearing from you. I am really interested in what your goals for the year are, what your resolutions are, what intentions you're setting for yourself. And if you want an accountability buddy with you, it's me. All right, friends. I will see you again next week. Come rain or come shine, or snow. I think there's going to be snow where I am. So I'll see you in the snow. Bye.